What's going on, everybody? Back again today to do a video I'm very excited to do. The title says so. I've got the shirt on. I've got my TARDIS mug. It is a great time to be a Doctor Who fan because the show, for the first time in since Peter Capaldi left, is about to actually be good again. And I can say that with damn near absolute certainty. Why? Because the original showrunner who brought the show back to mainstream in 2005 is returning as the showrunner. For those of you who don't know, that man is Russel T. Davies. Doctor Who is a TV show, a British sci-fi TV show, science fantasy, I guess you could almost say, but I like to call it sci-fi. It started in the 60s. And it went all the way through to like the mid to late 80s, and then it kind of stopped and they had a little bit of a hiatus for a while. Only thing we got was a TV movie in the 90s, which is canon, apparently. And then in 2005, BBC brought the show back with Russel T. Davies as the showrunner. He was at the helm. And for those of you who've watched the first, 2 or 3 seasons. Actually, it's 4. Yeah. For those of you who have watched the first 4 seasons of Doctor Who since it became like mainstream again back in 2005. So like 2005, the seasons from 05, 06, 07, and 08, maybe even 09. But anyway, the 9th and 10th Doctors, if you've watched those seasons, you know that the production value and the special effects budget, they were not really up there. A lot of people credit Doctor Who's high point during the Matt Smith era. It was during the Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor era, that you could see they definitely had an increase in budget, an increase in special effects, costumes, material effects, prosthetics, and stuff for the face. It all got a lot better with Matt Smith. But you have to understand who got them that increased budget. Because the budget went up right at the beginning of Matt Smith. So Matt Smith had done nothing to earn or justify that increased budget. It was all based on the following that the show had gained from the Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant seasons, the 9th and 10th Doctor seasons. And those seasons were done by Russel T. Davies. Russel T. Davies brought this show back from nothing and made it mainstream, made it really popular again, not just in England, but also here in the US. And it's true that even though Matt Smith's arc and pretty much through Capaldi is considered Doctor Who's high point, especially Matt Smith's seasons as the 11th Doctor, and even though that's considered the high point, that was run by Stephen Moffat, who was also a great showrunner in and of itself. But I don't think Stephen Moffat was the answer here. You know, I think in the past couple of years since Chris Chinball took over Doctor Who, and we had the female Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, it's just been a bag of ass. The show has just gone really downhill. And I'm going to get something just out there right off the bat. It has nothing to do with any of the actors. Any of them. It has nothing to do with Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. It has nothing to do with any of the companions. None of that. It has entirely to do with the direction that the show chose to take, and that Chris Chinball chose to take with the show. He chose to try and have, once again, it got a budget increase when he took over, and he chose to try and have improved special effects, improved costume designs, set designs. Basically, he chose to try and have the visual spectacle carry the show, as that way, when it comes to like the plot, he could be very basic, very kind of like whimsical, whatever, who gives a fuck, and then he could take political correct issues of socioeconomic issues and political correctness issues, and be very on the nose about them. And I've said this before, for those people who criticize like political correctness in TV and movies and entertainment, it's not because we have any problem with doing the right thing. It's because we're not here. We don't come to the show or the movie for a lesson in morality. We come to see, we like Doctor Who not because it teaches us how to be good people, but because it entertains us. It offers us an escape from the reality of our world into this fantastical universe with this guy who is thousands of years old, and he has a highly advanced spaceship / time machine, and he goes around through time and space having these crazy adventures and meeting all these alien races. We do it for the entertainment escape, not to learn some moral lesson. So when we come here expecting to just kind of like get away from all of that real world shit and just escape into this fun show for a while, and then we get there and all we find is that same real world shit just being shoved down our throats through the show, we end up just with this really just like... And here's the thing. Previous seasons of Doctor Who, we're talking like from its reinception in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston all the way up to Peter Capaldi's final season, it never had a problem slipping these socioeconomic issues in there in a way that really wasn't quite so just in your face. You know, they were subtle. They seemed to fit with the plot and the show and what was going on at the time. It was done much, much better. And there were, and when we get to this, when we talk about the stuff that's not about political correctness, because there were episodes, both Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, and Chris Chinball all did episodes that weren't about that kind of stuff. They were just meant to be fun sci-fi adventures through time and space. Russell T Davies and and Moffat, I want to say Steve, but I think that's wrong. And Moffat, Davies and Moffat, they both had just a much better mind for fun science fiction. Chris Chinball does not. And you could tell, and the writers of the new show just don't. You could just tell that they cut corners, they were very lazy, and I'm being completely honest with you. There is an episode in Jodie Whittaker's first season where they're up against this thing. There's this big mystery and this entity, and they don't know what the hell's going on or what the entity is. And then about 3/4 of the way through the episode, the doctor just goes, "Oh yeah, my grandma used to tell me a story about this thing when I was little. This must be what it is." Like, she just bullshitted it out of her ass at the last minute. There's another episode where basically bombs get mailed to people and they blow people up. Kind of like a Unabomber / Amazon episode. It's weird. But at the very end of the episode, there's all these bombs that are about to detonate. And somehow the doctor just magically has enough time to not only defuse all the bombs and figure out how to turn them off, not only defuse the bombs and turn them off, but to figure out how to do so. Prior to this moment in the show, if the bombs were going off, they just went off and killed people. Like, it was so poorly executed. I cannot even begin. You have to watch it. I highly recommend. It's all on HBO Max. Check it out. The only reason I recommend you watch Jodie Whittaker's season at all, and I call it Jodie Whittaker's season, but please don't confuse that with I'm blaming her. The only recommendation I would give you to watch Jodie Whittaker's season at all is to just see how far the show had fallen. Like, it was bad. It was so bad. And another thing, what else did they do? The Master. I get it. There have been many times in Doctor Who where it seems like the Master is dead and he's come back. None of them have been as blatant contradictions to previous Doctor Who lore as this newest iteration of the Master in the Jodie Whittaker seasons. The Master is another Time Lord, for those of you who don't know, and a Time Lord, they can... something special about them is whenever they suffer a fatal wound that's not instant, like it doesn't kill them instantly, but it's fatal, it's going to kill them, their cellular structure of their body reforms and reassembles itself in a new way. They call it regeneration. It heals them that way, but it also turns them into a different person, so to speak. So they still have all their memories intact. They're a little fuzzy at first, right after they regenerate, but they have all their memories intact. But they are a new person, essentially. Their genetic structure of their body has been rewritten, and their brain, they have a different personality now, but all their memories are the same. It's slightly similar to, if you ever watched the show Altered Carbon, where they could take the chip out of people's neck and put it into a different body. You know, different people in their different physical human bodies have different hormonal balances and chemical balances in their brain that regulate their personality and behavior. So just because you put the same memories and experiences into a different body, it's going to change them a little bit. And that's what happens in Doctor Who when a Time Lord, like the Doctor or the Master, suffers a fatal wound. So the Master, he was a dude. He suffered a fatal wound during David Tennant's era, and he regenerated into a female body. He turned into a female, and she called herself Missy. Later on down the road in the show, the two different versions of the Master meet each other. The dude and his next iteration, Missy. And then they both kill each other. Missy stabs her past self with a knife. It's a fatal wound, so he's going to start to regenerate into her. And then he zaps her with a blast of energy from his weapon that is not only fatal, it's not only a fatal level of like radiation, but it also is designed to prevent the regeneration process. So he's dying, and because he's dying, his body's going to regenerate into her, and then she's dying and she can't regenerate. So he turns into her, she goes through all her experiences, and comes right back around to this moment where she gets killed by him. They kill each other, the end of the Master. So how in the fuck there is a new Master in the Jodie Whittaker seasons, I don't know. I'll tell you why. It's because Chris Chinball went, well, I really don't want to, him and the writers, they went, I really don't want to think too hard about this. I mean, as long as we can slip in some political correct issues bullshit and have the Doctor act goofy and say shit like fam, let's just do shit that we know is like pretty guaranteed to attract an audience. Throw the Master back in there. Let's throw the Master back in there. People will be like, whoa, what? The Master's back. How did that happen? Well, I want to watch it now and see how that happened. You shouldn't watch it. You shouldn't watch it to see how that happened, because it doesn't matter how they did it. It contradicts what happened before, which just shows a lack of respect for show history. And believe me, that wasn't the only time that they did that. Where in these most recent seasons of the show, they had complete disregard for previous Doctor Who lore. They just did whatever the hell they wanted. Cheap, shitty, easy, lazy writing. They were really hoping that the increased budget and all the new special effects and costume design shit would help carry the show. And then they were hoping it would also be able to stand up on its moral pedestal of political correctness. It's like, look, it's a female lead, and they're talking about, issues like global warming and racism, and yeah, that stuff's all well and good, but the show as a science fiction, just fuck around, numb the brain entertainment show, it also has to be good in and of itself, okay? Because we're not coming to the show to receive moral life lessons. We're coming to the show to watch fun sci-fi adventure entertainment. So that has to be first and foremost. All that other shit can be second. Now, that's enough about why the show has sucked. Why is the show going to be great? Because Russel T. Davies, not only does he understand science fiction, not only does he understand how to write a good story, he loves Doctor Who, and you could tell if you watch his previous seasons, the fact that he managed to take that show on such a low budget and make it as good as he did shows that he loves the show. And Russell T Davies was not afraid to go a little bit darker. You know, one of the constantly growing themes in Doctor Who is that the Doctor is a pacifist. You know, he will not use weapons and physically fight his adversary. Well, we know that this is a load of crap, because if we look here, here's some Doctor Who from like the 60s, 70s. He's clearly sword fighting the Master here. This is the 10th Doctor. This is from a Russell T Davies episode in, I think, 2006, maybe, I'm not sure, where he's like dueling this alien warlord to the death. Spoiler alert, he does not kill him, but they still have a duel to the death. Actually, he does kill him, but not with the sword. It's not like really brutal or anything. Here's more of them dueling. Someone put lightsaber effects into it, though. This is from another piece of the old show. It's a different iteration of the Doctor. He's sword fighting this medieval dude. What else do we have? Peter Capaldi in this Rob episode where he meets Robin Hood. He duels Robin Hood on a wooden log that's laying across a creek. Robin Hood's using a sword. Peter Capaldi uses a large metal spoon. And he talks about how, like, he's really good at sword fighting because he's a time traveler. You know, he's traveled to all the different eras of human history and learned from the best warriors that there are. He says he's trained with Errol Flynn, Richard the Lionheart. So the Doctor is a warrior. He is capable of being a warrior. He is capable of whooping some ass. And he uses guns all the time. Here's a previous version of him using a gun. Here's a previous version of him with a gun. There's another one. That might be a squirt gun, I'm not sure. You know, like, the Doctor is capable of being a warrior and being a fighter. And on that note, and he has shot people, and on that note, there is a piece of Doctor Who lore, for those of you who don't know, called the Time War. And it was basically this gigantic, not only was it an interstellar war that took place throughout the entire universe, it was also taking place, both factions, both sides that were fighting against each other, they both possessed time travel technology. So the war was not only taking place across the whole universe, it was taking place across the whole universe throughout all of time. And there is a version of the Doctor, this guy, who took it upon himself. He tried for a very long time to avoid taking an active role in the war, but eventually he decided that, like, he couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore, and he took on this form. This is the War Doctor, and he fought not quite on the side of the Time Lords, but he was definitely against the Daleks, which are these things right here. They're like space alien Nazis. But anyway, so yeah. The Doctor is more than capable of being a warrior and being a badass. And when Russell T Davies first brought the show back and at its reinception, he really built the Doctor up like that. Like, he had some survivor's guilt from the war. He didn't like violence. He would often choose, like, violence was a last resort, but it was a resort. He would resort to physical violence and fighting his enemies if he had to. As the show went on, the Doctor kept getting more and more pacified and less lethal. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, like, if you watch any of the recent videos on my channel where I talk about shows for children, especially like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, a hero protagonist in a movie, TV show, video game, comic book, novel, doesn't matter. A hero protagonist physically fighting villains is cool and fun to watch. So if you take that shit out of your show or your movie or your comic or your novel or your video game, you're automatically, if it was never ever there to begin with, then it doesn't matter. But my point is, it was there. They constantly refer to the Doctor about, like, he fought in this crazy ass war. He killed tons of people. The entire universe knows his name and kind of like stands in awe of him and a little bit of fear. The entire universe respects him a little bit out of fear because he has gone up against so many enemies and defeated every single one of them every time. So Russell T Davies was willing to lean into that a little more than other showrunners and writers. And I liked that because you can't constantly spout that this guy is an epic warrior badass deep down, but then never ever show it. You have to show it. So I'm hoping that one of the things that changes for the better with Doctor Who, with Russell T Davies coming back, because he's going to have the budget now. You know, that's another reason why it's going to be better, is because Russell T Davies back when he first started it again in 2005, it was great even on that low budget. Now it's going to be him with the budget we have now and the special effects we have now. So, you know, as long as he brings that same edge to it that he did before, man, is it going to be awesome. I cannot wait. I appreciate that he's willing to lean a little bit more into the Doctor will whoop some ass if he needs to. You know, he's not just a complete and total pacifist, because that's boring. No one wants to watch that. No one wants to watch that, you know? And I think it's totally okay to show a hero physically fighting a villain if the villain is a villain. Like, if they're a bad person, they're trying to do horrible, horrible things, fight them, you know? So I could not be happier that Russell T Davies is coming back to run this show. I cannot wait to see the seasons. I'm not going to finish Jodie Whittaker. I gave up on Jodie Whittaker. I got through maybe like the first 8 episodes of her second season, because it was just like, out of her second season, it was crap. Pretty damn good episode. Crap. And the one episode in her second season that I actually thought was really good, it was because there was a different Doctor in there. There was another version of the Doctor, another female version of the Doctor, that she had no memory. Neither of them had any memory of ever being the other version. So they were like, I don't know what order you take. Are you my future self? Are you my past self? I don't know who you are. But this older version, this other female Doctor, she was about it. You know, like fucking a bunch of like these alien prison guards tried to fucking take her into custody, and she went fucking Jason Bourne on their ass real quick. And then when she finally gets her full memories back and remembers that she's the Doctor, first thing she does is go down into the basement where she has a hidden cache of weaponry, and she gets out this fucking badass pulse rifle, and she's locked and loaded, ready to fucking go. And I could tell from the minute she like got her full memory of being the Doctor back, this other female Doctor was not fucking around. She was here to play. And I liked that, because Jodie Whittaker, I get it. It's the writers. The director's giving her direction, and the writers are writing her script. So at the end of the day, she's playing a role that she's told to play. But a part of me questions, it's like, you know, would Jodie Whittaker have been on board to play a more badass Doctor? Or did she take the role because she liked the noble pacifist who always takes the moral high ground? Who knows? Who's to say? And since I don't know for sure, I'm not going to make any judgment calls on that. But I can say for a fact that her Doctor was the pretty lame, not fun to watch, pacifistic, always take the moral high ground. She had no edge to her. She had no backbone, no spine. Anytime Jodie Whittaker's Doctor was on screen, like in the face of a villain trying to act tough, I was never buying it. Not once did I ever buy it. I was always like, this blonde Doctor lady is about to get her ass kicked, because she is talking way too tough, and she's not that tough. So I never fucking bought it. So yeah, that's I'm 100% glad that Russell T Davies is coming back to run Doctor Who. I think he's going to take full advantage of the special effects and budget that he has available to him now. But at the same time, he's not going to try and have the show stand up on that and only that. He's going to apply the same level of constructive narrative that he's always applied to it. He's going to bring not just the epicness and the badassery, but just the plain fun back to it. It's going to be really entertaining to watch. The Doctor is, once again, in my opinion, whether it's male, female, doesn't matter. The Doctor, I have a strong feeling, under his leadership running the show, the Doctor is once again going to be a strong protagonist that I can root for and that I can believe is a badass deep down. Didn't believe it with Jodie Whittaker, and like I said, I'm chalking that up to the writing and the direction more so than Jodie Whittaker herself. But yeah, and I think clearly I have no doubt in my mind Russell T Davies is going to show plenty of respect to previous Doctor Who lore and canon because he made a huge chunk of it. So on that note, though, Russell, if you wanted to kind of just shit all over the Jodie Whittaker seasons, fine by me. They were a bag of ass. So if you want to just like completely contradict the fuck out of those, that's fine, because I haven't watched most of it, and I think most of the people who have watched it are regretting watching it, and they kind of wish that it never happened. So that's my take on Russell T Davies coming back for Doctor Who. I'm super excited about it. I cannot wait to see what he does with it. Hopefully all of my predictions come true. And yeah. So let me know what you guys think down below. Get some comments down below. Get a discussion started. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. Check out some of the other videos on my channel. Maybe subscribe. And other than that, I will see you guys next time.